It's Thursday, the 11th of May. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the Blanco Lirio channel, and we have some incredible video of an incident that occurred back on August of 2022 of a wire strike in North Carolina. From the Aviation Safety Network, on August 4th, 2022, at about 13:09 local time, a Cessna 182 Skylane, November 8865 Tango, sustained substantial damage when it was involved in an accident at Holly Ridge Airport, November 21, North Carolina. The pilot received minor injuries. This is a private airstrip. The pilot was on final approach when he collided with a set of unmarked power lines that ran perpendicular to the runway. The airplane flipped over and impacted the ground, resulting in substantial damage to the tail section. The pilot said he reviewed the airport facilities directory prior to the flight and was aware that the runway had a displaced threshold and a set of power lines located between the end of the runway and a section of pine trees, which were equal in height to the power lines. He said that as he cleared the pine trees on final approach, he saw the power lines and struck him 5 feet too low. The pilot reported that there were no pre-accident mechanical malfunctions or failures of the airplane that would have precluded normal operation. Probable cause, the pilot's failure to maintain clearance of the power lines on final approach. Here's the Holly Ridge Topsail Island Airport, private, marked restricted on the map here. 49-foot elevation, 3,600 feet of grass runway, and you could see the set of power lines running right across the end of the runway here. We go to Google Maps, we can find the grass airstrip located right here near Holly Ridge. 3,600 feet of grass, and here you can see the power lines running right across the end of the runway virtually. Now, being a private airstrip, or restricted airstrip, this is why you got to get limited liability waivers, prior permission before arriving. You got to get the local briefing on what the hazards are on these airstrips, because since they are private, they don't need to fulfill or be within the standard guidelines of standard FAA airstrips. So you can have obstacles within the obstacle clearance area on these private airports. Now if we take the street view here and jump down on the street, spin around, there's the pine trees, and right back in there are the power lines at just about the same height as the pine trees, and beyond that, the grass runway. So if you sink down over these, close over these pine trees, you're going to whack those wires. This security camera video comes to us via Aviation Accidents This Day in History YouTube channel. This channel, go ahead and subscribe to it and tell him I sent you. He's only got 2,600 subscribers, but what he does is captures this video data from using the FOIA, or Freedom of Information Act, and does a quick job of getting it posted as soon as he can get a hold of it. And he does this consistently. So go subscribe to Aviation Accidents This Day in History. So as we take a look at this video, you can't see the power lines, but here's one power pole located right here and another set of power poles located right here. Watch for them to move as the aircraft hits the power poles, and here's the end of the runway located right here, and it looks like he's got a friend waiting for him right here. Boom, right on his tail. Just an amazing somersault happening so very quickly. Just catching those power lines with what appears to me to be his main landing gear. Bam! Right down on the tail. Minor injuries only. So there's the crumple zone of the tail. Looks like a tail strike of the Cessna 182. We got a nav light hanging on a wire off of the right wing that got pulled out. It looks to me like the engine and propeller are virtually unscathed. Again, there's that crumpled up tail cone. Remember, monocoque construction is just like standing on a Coca-Cola can or an aluminum can, and then all you got to do is dent the side of it, and it just collapses instantly. That's the way monocoque construction crumples under impact. Looks like the jaws of life hanging out down here, and that might be one of the wires from the power lines laying right there across the left main gear. Again, via the Freedom of Information Act, we've got the statement from the pilot being a little high and knowing I had to descend once clear of the pines and lines, I went to 40 degrees of flaps. As I cleared the pines, there's an airport security video of the incident. All I saw was a windscreen full of power lines. I pulled up but caught the top lines 5 feet too low. I thought it was clear, and how I lost that altitude past the pines, I don't know. Downdraft from a nearby storm. So from the NTSB, we got a recommendation that Duke Power, the local power facility, should attach balls to the line. That's the big orange balls that you normally see on power lines near airports or river canyons out here in the West. But again, being a private airstrip, it's not required to have these things. So just very unfortunate for this pilot to hit these wires, but extremely lucky to survive this crash. And it's a solid reminder for all of us that operate at private airstrips and or off airport landing areas, the hazards of these wires. Thanks so much for your support, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.